Also today, President Trump placing the blame firmly on Iran for the attacks on those two tankers in the Gulf of Oman.
They're not going to be closing it. It's not going to be, if it's closed, it's not going to be closed for long. And they know it. And they've been told in very strong terms. And we want to get them back to the table if they want to go back. I'm ready when they are.
Now, this is new video shows what our military says is Iran removing an unexploded mine from one of the ships. So what does this mean for Middle East policy? Joining me now, Fox News military analyst Colonel David Hunt. Colonel Hunt, always a pleasure. Where are we now? Because it feels like Iran is increasing its sort of saber rattling via its proxies. I'm not sure what they're trying to achieve here. Is it a sign of desperation or something else?
Let's start with things have changed in 24 hours with this film that DOD is saying what you said, which is showing the Iranians removing a mine. The owner of that ship is also saying their projectiles shot at that ship. Okay, so let's break it up and say, okay, Iran is responsible for at least one of these, if not all of them. So what are we going to do? I mean, I think economically, you can crush Iran anytime you want, and obviously that kind of pressure. We're going to have to keep our military presence there. And I don't think political pressure works with Iran. It hasn't worked since Khomeini was let out of France and landed in Tehran and Iran, 25 years ago.
Right.
But I think economically and militarily, we can keep serious pressure on them.
But this latest act, this latest provocation happened after we've moved more military assets to the region. So what exactly? I mean, when do we start to deter them? What do we have to do to keep even these vessels safe? Now, it's a great thing that we produce so much oil now, because this reaction would have been diametrically different if it was 5-10 years ago. Oil would be $100 a barrel, and the world would be freaking out a lot more. We can do what you're asking. You want to protect shipping lanes and ships. It's a combination of the navies of the world and private security, and you can stop this. Now, there may be a gunfight involved. But you're going to have to clear the boats, the ships in the harbor, with either remote vehicles or divers. You got to protect these boats in the open sea, and you're going to have to protect these boats as we are doing in the Straits of Hormuz. But you have to do it even more, and you can put people with guns on these boats. The problem is that the insurance companies, the boat owners, the captains' unions, and insurance companies don't want guns on these boats. And without that, you've got issues. And it's expensive to do what I just said. Sure.
But you can absolutely squeeze these things to almost stopping. But it would take a worldwide commitment. And that takes some serious organization.
Colonel Hunt, you referenced the beginning of the revolution 25 years ago. What about a counter-revolution? Apparently there was something brewing not long ago. I have people from Iran that send me images all the time of things that are happening inside that country now that suggest that there could be a massive counter-revolution, an uprising. What do we do to help facilitate that, if anything?
In order for us to participate in something like you're talking about, and hopefully other nations would be involved, that's called the Special Access Program. It's signed by the President of the United States. That's an offensive intelligence operation. We have been unwilling to do the big muscle movements to get done what you've just suggested. It's been talked about for years that there's an element in Iran that would help overthrow it. That would take serious non-Iranian support, probably by us and our European allies. And to this date, we have been unwilling to do the big things that would take to do that. That's a serious offensive intelligence operation to try to pull off.
Colonel Hunt, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Appreciate your expertise.